All right, so today is called Science is a Vampire. The state of Texas now teaches sodomy to children in public school. How did we get here? How do we win? And Tesla's new truck comes out with a weird looking owl. All right, and happy Sunday, everybody. What a beautiful day it is. So first off, someone tweeted to at Owen Comedy, run by the great Coddington Bear. I'm kicked off Twitter permanently, but Owen Comedy isn't. He said, "Hey man, I ordered a new Tesla Cybertruck today, and this came up after I put a deposit down. The owl is the god of child worship, and what the F," I try to go as long as I can without swearing. "What the F does an owl have to do with the new truck? Didn't feel right, so put in to get a refund. Something creepy about Elon." This is what he tweeted me. "Your order is complete, and it's an owl." I'll tell you what's creepy about Elon. Everything. My wife, she has antenna. Like, my wife sees through fraud better than I do. She just doesn't do it as much. You know, she's typically focused on childcare, gardening, food, the good stuff. And so she doesn't really put her eye of Sauron on wizards like I do. But when she does, she's right. And so she watched that video recently of Elon Musk and some random sodomite on stage, and Elon was trying to get him to break the windows of his new truck, and the windows just broke. And apparently it's supposed to be this real humiliating event. My wife's like, "That looks like a TV screen. I don't believe that actually broke." And she said that Elon was acting like it was a magic trick. Elon was acting like Chris Angel. It was stagecraft. And so I don't know the point of it, but just know it's all fraud. Elon was the main character of one of the only novels written by Wernher von Braun, the guy who supposedly developed the Saturn rocket and the father of NASA, who was best friends with Adolf Disney. And so Elon was the main character of Wernher von Braun's novel who went to Mars. Elon, I believe, is a social construct. I can't prove that, but it's weird. He's a fraud. He's fraudulent. I think. And my wife also pointed out that his face looks like it's had a lot of work. And then his dad, Elon Musk's dad, recently married a girl or had children with a girl that he's known since she was 2 years old. Just real creepy stuff. It was a self-humiliation ritual. Yeah, he did the same thing with the first couple rockets for SpaceX that exploded, and everybody was like, "Oh no, is Elon going to succeed?" And then he sent a car into space. It's all stagecraft. Just let it go. "You're fraudulent, Owen? Well, you just walked into the wrong saloon, partner." You've already been banned. Well, I'm doing open chat today, not just members only, because I kind of miss kicking people out. I re-listened to my stream yesterday, and I banned a guy for talking about the Noahide laws because it was too much despair. And that was a little, I was really just searching for people to ban, and I think I took out don't get me wrong, this is not a place for despair, but I think I may have took out a decent cowboy yesterday. I like banning people who deserve it. All right. So anyway, today we're going to talk about how science is a vampire. Oh, and by the way, just to let you guys know, there's the owl. And here is the World Health Organization. Of course, it's the flat earth map with a snake and a staff on it. This is what some people don't see. WHO, World Health Organizations. Guess who makes the sound who? Oh, you're reaching too far. Well, I'm not. World Health Organization, or WHO, now deems your child's presence in school as informed consent. To vaccinate them, it's called implied consent. Just letting you know that if you send your kids to public school, you're now consenting to vaccines, according to WHO, which is the World Health Organization, which is blatantly the flat earth map, the map, with a staff that projects past the world, which is a reference to the Tower of Babel, and of course the snake from the Garden of Eden. Okay. Oh, how dare you? Okay. The Talk CBS. Bear in mind, they're verified on Twitter and not kicked off Twitter. I'm kicked off Twitter for questioning the narrative around David Hogg. Children as young as 6 are to be given compulsory self-touching lessons that will teach them about touching or stimulating their own genitals. What do you think? Well, if I was on Twitter, I would let them know what I think. That if anybody came near my children to teach them how to touch themselves, I would feed them to pigs. And I'm not kidding. Like I would kill them. And I'm biblically allowed to do that. That's what I think. The talk. Children as young as 6 are to be given compulsory self-touching lessons that will teach them about touching or stimulating their own genitals. This is in public school. What do you think? Well, if anyone did that in my saloon, I would take their teeth out of their head and cut off their fingertips, and then I would feed them to pigs. That's insane. No, it isn't insane. Want to know what's annoying me more than even these perverts? Is people acting like this is surprising. Not down in Texas. Okay, Texas. According to CBNnews.com, Texas school district mandates teaching kids how to have anal sex. Down here in Texas, we're libertarians. We don't stand for nothing. So let me just do this. And then the Rothschild funded The Economist. Having children lowers women's lifetime earnings, an outcome known as the child penalty. Well, The Economist must be some fringe. It's like, dude, stop lying to yourself. These people want to molest your kids, and they want your women to be tax cattle, and they want to kill the babies or eat them. I mean, this is reality. There's a way out, and I'll show you how this is all related to science. Science is a vampire. Okay, so want to know, I will help you guys break down the wizardry of this. Sodomy in school equals messed up stool. All right, so let me break this down. Women earn less when they have a child, right? Why? Because they become mothers and they don't go into cubicles, the cube, to earn low wages to pay for their indulgences. They have a man who works for them and provides for them. That's why. And if they do a good job as a mom, guess what? You got a couple soldiers that will grow up to do anything for you. I would never let my mom fail. I would never let my mom fall. My brother and I would never we wouldn't even let our dad go into a nursing home. And my dad's insane. If you raise your kids well, and my mom did a great job, my dad did not, he provided, but he's a bad dude, right? I still wouldn't let him just mutter around a nursing home. I would still provide for my dad. My mother, I would go to war for her. So would my brother. So a mother who has children, her income goes down because it's assumed she spends more time with her children. If her income did not go down, that would mean she's a terrible mother. And so what you get, the child penalty is only a penalty to those who own you and want to suck from you. Science is a vampire, boom, 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 set to suck you dry, boom, 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 boom. And this is one reason why I have a slight bit of compassion for the small hats, is a lot of them, see, this is why all of God's creation has a place. You know, like, for example, if mosquitoes went extinct, that would, or algae, or a lot of these things that a lot of people would be like, oh, the algae is just mucking up my motor. Or these mosquitoes, they're just, if mosquitoes or algae went extinct, the entire, like, food chain would everything would fall apart. It's not Jews. Jews have a predisposition to getting really, really focused in one little cube. So a way to utilize Jewish behavior that's pretty, it's not all, but a lot of them, is give them specific tasks and be like, okay, you'll win if you make the numbers go higher in this box than the other box. If you put them in charge of politics and governance and economics, they'll be like, well, we've concluded that the human is actually not very efficient when it comes to acquiring fake money. Oh, that's what they do. It's not, this is going to sound crazy after I'm explaining this. It's not even as evil as you think. That's what they do. Like if you put them in charge of categorizing all of box notes that he's ever written. They do a damn good job. Jews, good bravos? They can be. They're not just evil. They're really, really bad when they're in charge of macroeconomics and politics because they're all about number crunching. Like if you have an accountant run a country, like if you have a small hat accountant run a country, they will conclude that motherhood is inefficient and that we should, and then you're like, what? It's like that funny bot from South Park when he was trying to come up with the greatest joke, and he's like, the greatest joke is if we murder everyone in the world and then say awkward, and everyone's like, because they're right. I mean, that really is the greatest joke in the world, is for someone to murder everyone in the world and then just go awkward. Because if you look at it mathematically, because comedy has math in it, it's the greatest stakes followed by the biggest change-up pitch, followed by the biggest half step. That's the greatest joke that you could write, is killing everyone in the world and then going awkward. And so Funny Bot was actually right. But who's going to be left to laugh when everyone's dead? You know, communism works great if everyone's dead. Capitalism works great if everyone's dead. And so small hats are great at coming up with these isms and ists. You know, feminist. Would you like to see what feminism actually is? Okay, check this out. Origin and development of the feminist. At 15, a social media exhibitionist. In her 20s, experiments with lots of sex without commitment. At 30, still alone getting pissed. At 35, voila, you have yourself a red-haired, overweight, angry, aborting feminist. That's the life cycle of the feminist. Guess what? That's an incredibly efficient earner. Because you start sexualizing the child. This is why they do this. I'm trying to, because I like to get to the bottom of stuff. I don't like to just complain. I like to solve problems. I'm not Steven Crowder. I don't just sit here and go, can you believe it? So you over-sexualize a child, and then what does that do? It makes them promiscuous and incapable of pair bonding. Then they end up alone and angry. What does that make for? Great consumers and great slaves. Awkward. That's why they do. That's why I will never be for mass condemnation, like mass, the taking of the rights of Jews, or killing people or anything like that, because when you're a farmer or a homesteader or a hunter, you understand everything has its place. There is a place for that way of thinking when you're trying to figure out, an efficiency of a steam engine or something. If you try and put that way of thinking on how human beings should live, you're gonna die. Then they don't have kids, and then you need low IQ immigrants. Exactly. But see, here's the thing. If you value money over family, they're right. This is what people don't get. And this is the thing I'm really trying to hit today. When people say science, trust in science, science gives you this. Texas school district mandates teaching kids how to have anal sex. That's science. Because there's no morality in science. And science is one of the easiest things to corrupt. I'll show you. There's a new Taboo Conspiracy video out. Shout out to Ben. I got to hang with him in Dallas, and it's fascinating. I mean, he's just a crusher. But this whole teaching children as young as 6 how to touch themselves. Why? Because it's capitalism. It's how to make slaves. It's how to break pair bonding. That way a woman will be the most productive in a salt mine. And she will be angry and spiteful and resentful. She will have no one to protect her. She'll be in her little cubicle till death, a wage slave, in debt, so she'll do anything you tell them. And that's it. It's that's farming. This is farming of humans. The World Health Organization, or WHO, deems your child's presence in school as informed consent. So what does this tell you? So do you just get angry? No, you homeschool. This is my This is my yard this morning. That looks out of a painting. I made all those planter boxes by hand. I made that fence. We assembled that greenhouse. We planted all those crops from seed. My wife made those swinging doors. I made that compost heap behind it, all of it. It's like that 30,000 pounds of pebbles I moved with a wheelbarrow. Probably just hundreds of trips, shoveling, sweating, hurting. But guess what? It's beautiful. And that is outside of the economic. It's like having children lowers women's lifetime. My wife earns zero. She should earn zero. And my wife has one of the best lives I've seen lately of women. My wife is the reason we have so much health and happiness in this home. I provide and she creates. Money is not the goal. It's insane. It's actually quite insane. I'll show you that in a second. And this bear was crushing some gropers. Gropers have had zero contact with women outside of their mommy. So Rebecca Bear says, I love this generational household were the norm argument these homos are using. That was before the Industrial Revolution when entire families were needed to work a farm. In today's world, that is completely unnecessary and cop-out for Zoomers who have failed to launch. Guys, the reason I go after the milkers and placentes for living at home is not because I think families should break apart. My dream, I think I'll just read what I wrote on Instagram when I posted this, because this girl made such a good point. And then we'll analyze some stuff. I wrote, she gets it. This is the first thing. All right. My dream is to build houses for my children on the family compound so our families can help each other, fish, farm, teach, and childcare. Nick Fuentes and his merry band of incels believes intergenerational living so someone can give them treats, Nintendo, and Wi-Fi so they can watch pornography when their mommies go to work. It's disgusting. The past is the future. These people will be in a very, very bad position in 10 years when the baby boomer money runs out, and we all see why the word boom is in their generational name. I don't fight these people for my health, guys. What I'm saying is obviously true, and by the time the bottom falls out, I will have a massive community of legends, and the people who chose to mock and lie hiding behind mommy will probably be faced with their own starvation. That's true. Hang on, pseudoscience, BB, science is not bad. Science is bad. Science is bad. Engineering is not bad. You're referring to engineering. All science is bad. Engineering is not bad. Engineering made the computer that I'm currently using. Engineering made the airplane. Science is backtracking and try to explain what engineering just made. Engineering is all in logos. Engineering requires reality. If you lie, the plane falls to the ground and explodes. Science is all nonsense. Science is a religion. All of it. None of it is good. When someone says engineering is from God, yes, engineering is in logos. So my point I'm trying to make here, my dream is to have my children live within 5 miles of me on a family compound. I'm not saying that you should leave your parents and live across the country because some wage slave demands it and you work all day and night to pay the piper while your parents age and then go into a nursing home. That's a nightmare. What I'm saying is have a purpose. These people are living with mommy and daddy because mommy and daddy are giving them free stuff and treats and snacks and Wi-Fi and pornos. That's why. It's an extended adolescence. It has nothing to do with being close to your parents. I love the thought of my family all being close to each other, but it's because intergenerational living requires Tesla equals engineer, Einstein equals science. Exactly. Boom. Science is all a lie. All of it. There isn't one, because the fundamental building blocks of science, the foundation of the house of science is warped. So every bit of it is wrong. So my dream is to be close to my family. I talked to my brother this morning. I ache. I miss my brother so much. I ache because I miss my mother. It sucks. They're thousands of miles away, but my wife gets to have parents, uncles, aunts, grandparents. My kids get to have great grandparents. It was the right move. You know, and my brother I could have stayed in that town and he would have fought on my behalf. My brother's pure legend, but out of mercy, I didn't want to make his life as full of conflict as my life. So when I say living with your mommy, milker, mommy milker, like that isn't because I think children should leave their parents. I think children should grow and help and learn. When I'm an old broken man and my back's all messed up and I can barely move, I want my kids to bring in the deer and the fish and all that. And they're going to care for me because I'm going to treat them great. And we're all going to build together. And that's intergenerational living. The past is the future. We're getting more alpacas because we're trying to get to the point where we make our own clothes. And the alpaca manure is so full of nutrients. I'm caring for my father. You should care for your father. No nerd. Don't put our grandparents in cubicles. They have tons of knowledge, guys. Tons. And it's like one of the things that the social engineers are trying to do is get the kids to hate their parents and to not trust and respect their parents. Well, guess what? They have a point. The Zoomers have a point because mommy and daddy were terrible parents. They fed them lies. They sent them to indoctrination camps. They were too busy smoking doobies and having threesomes to give a shit about their kids. They didn't give them true godliness in their life. They lied to them and they were indulgent. Not all baby boomers. There's a lot of Zoomers out there that respect their parents, and there's a lot of Zoomers that have forgiven their parents because holding that weight on your back is only going to hurt you. I forgave my dad. You can forgive yours. My dad's worse than your dad. I guarantee it. But like the grandparents, it's like they have knowledge. They can tell you about the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. They can tell you about how to get herbal remedies from the woods. Don't lock that away, you know? My grandpa was my best teacher aside from Christ. Yes, that's the way it should be. And we did, and guess what? Forgiveness for the boomer, sympathy for the boomer. You want to know why? No one got more social engineering in the history of the world than the baby boomers. I'm about to play you a video from Ben from Taboo Conspiracy 2, and then we're going to read some mail. But nobody got that level of indoctrination. Music, film, they weren't prepared for it. It's almost like the first time you see a porno magazine or something when you're like a kid and you're just like, it's just like, you're just like, what the fuck? Or like the first time a bike thief takes a puff of crack. Or the first time like an Indian sips some whiskey. Or the first time a white person went to Starbucks. You know, it's like you're not prepared for that endorphin rush. You're like, and they just descended. And watch yesterday's stream. It's called, I can't remember what I called it, but the antidote is morality. You have to, it's not sad, Cosmo Bear. It's not sad. We need strong men here. It's nothing sad. You want to know what's sad? It's like watching one of your animals die that you've cared for since they were little. It happens to me all the time. This isn't sad. This is just reality. They got pumped full of indoctrination. And guess what? It's time for you to rise and for you to do the right thing. This is not a movement because a movement implies moving. I'm done with movement. Whether it's the earth spinning around the sun or just there's no movement. The truth is here. It's still. It's in the woods. You can only hear it when you're quiet. Generation X are not boomers. No. Right on, Spot BB. Thank you. Rise up. You don't rise up. It's not about Maybe I phrased it wrong. That might have been me. So a lot of these thoughts I'm working through as I'm speaking. So sometimes I'll be like, rise up. No, don't rise up. I get it. I have about a 2-minute lag where it takes me a second to really form ideas. But like, rise up in your heart. It's not about like rising up in the public square and waving a gay flag or something. It's about like rise up to admitting truth. You have to rise up. Yes, you do, but it's more personal. It's more in the family, in the community. It's from your feet on the ground out versus out in. You know, like so many people are trying to rise in the federal government. It's like, we have to get a better president. You have no ability to do that. What you can do is do what I do every day. Like look at this. Do you know how many people have been inspired and had children because of stuff like this? Like I'll just show a picture like that, and people will be like, I want to have that. I want kids. I want a farm. It's like just that. I can't affect elections. I think most of them are rigged anyway. But what I can do is show people a blueprint, because sometimes these incels, MGTOW is feminism for males, by the way. So stupid. If you want to die alone with despair in the woods, don't bring any of my guys with you. But it's like some of these people are like, must be nice. I mean, it's just like, dude, it's like, well, what? All you do is tell people to homestead and to homeschool. Eventually, people are going to have to actually do something. I'm actually doing something. Do you know what would happen if everybody started homeschooling because they're teaching anal sex and masturbation to their children in public school, and the halls were empty and the classrooms were empty? They would have to do something. They would have to change. Sending your kid to school is consent. Look at this. Child's presence in school is informed consent to vaccinate them. It's called implied consent. That's right out of Bernays, Tavistock. It's how they justify their stuff. If you don't send your kids to school and you agree to raise them, it's like, but how are we going to get our lollipops? We need both of us. We need both of us to work, or else we can't go on vacation and stuff our mouths. They kill us? No, there's no killing. That's not. You've never seen it ever. You've never seen people kick in your door and kill you and rip things. You've never seen it. It's so rare that they have to manufacture fake violence. You realize that? You realize how many hoax shootings there are and how many fake false flag stuff? Like 9/11, all that stuff. They have to fake it because human beings naturally don't want to do that unless they're just living in a total state of hell. Can't negotiate with evil. My kids will never go. Yes. And then if you do that, the school will have to change. Do you know how much taxes I pay to public schools? It's crazy. And we're not even going to be using them. If the halls are empty, you know what they're going to say? Well, want to know who's good at this? Muslims. Muslims have changed the curriculum in England. Want to know who's good at this? Canadian homesteaders. There's been areas of Ontario that were teaching sodomy and masturbation to children. Enough parents said no. There's a lot of homesteading going on in Canada. You don't know it because the media doesn't cover it because it's owned by sodomites. The school stopped teaching it. All right. However, it does happen in South Africa. Yeah, human beings can be very, very violent when it gets tribal. If you're a man, everything you do should be your own way. MGTOW is gay. Yes, exactly.